Guys, I don't really want to get ahead of myself because the Pirates did this to start off last season as well. But I got to tell you, this team feels completely different than last year's team. It really does. I get a sense that this team just has a sense of urgency to them. They have a sense of fight in them. They have chemistry and they just go out there and they're just getting the job done, man. And it's so fun to listen to, it's fun to tune into, and it's very exciting as a fan. I know it's only been 7 games, but these 7 games have been incredible for the Bucs to start off this season. We go 6-1 on this road trip, and now we got the home opener coming up. And I'm just going to say, bring on the Orioles, man. It may not be Steelers, Ravens, but the Orioles, I mean, they're a really good team. And at the end of the day, it is Pittsburgh versus Baltimore. So bring on the O's. But let's talk about this Nats series. What's going on, everybody? I am Mac, and I am back on this Friday morning with another video. As always, do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe, follow on Instagram. Link is down in the box below. The Bucs are 6-1 as we take 2 out of 3 against the Washington Nationals in DC. We win Monday 8-4. I talked about that the other day. We had an off day on Tuesday. Wednesday, we had our first loss of the season, a 5-3 Nationals victory over us. And that's where I'm going to start with this video. So I know that people love blaming Derek Shelton for every single loss, and I'm one of those guys because I still am not in love with Derek Shelton, but you can't fault Derek Shelton for Wednesday, in my opinion. You just can't, because it was the first time this season the Bucs faced a right-handed pitcher, and that was the correct lineup that you go with when you're going up against your righties. You put in your top hitters against the righties, which was O'Neill Cruz, Brian Reynolds, and Ke'Bryan Hayes. Those are your top 3 hitters when they're facing righties. And Mitch Keller was the starter, and the Bucs got off to a 2-0 lead thanks to Michael A. Taylor, who's been criminally underrated for this team. He had a 2-run single to make it 2-0. And Mitch Keller, who in my last video about the Bucs, I said I'm not going to get on him and I'm not going to make a big deal out of it, but I expect better from a guy that we extended in the offseason and a guy who is expected to be the ace of this franchise for at least the next 5 years. I think it's time to be concerned about Mitch Keller for right now, because I'm not going to say that, he's lost it. He can't play in a contract year. He last year was a fluke. I'm not going to come on here and say that, at least not yet, but he just looks really off to start this season. I mean, I know it's only 2 starts. I know that it's a long season and, there's plenty of time for him to get it figured out. And, we're paying him $77 million and he's going to think to himself, well, I'm getting paid this money. And, I just got to touch up on a few things and I'll be fine, which, yeah, I am giving him the benefit of the doubt. It's only 2 starts. And, there is plenty of time to get it figured out, but I'm just saying he has had 2 really, in my opinion, bad starts to start off the season. And this time he wasn't so fortunate with the offense. That was our first bad game of the season where we got off to a 2-0 lead. Mitch Keller gave up 4 runs right off the bat, and then he gave up a 5th one on a solo homer. One of them was only unearned. But see, this has kind of been going on for a while now about Mitch Keller, to where like he needs the offense to get him to have just even a no decision. And that was the case Wednesday night again. Like I said, more velocity problems with him. I mean, I'm certainly no doctor or anything, so I can't say if he's injured or not. Or maybe it's just his arm strength is just a little bit off and he needs to work out a little bit more. I don't know what the deal is. But number one, if he's out there pitching and he's out there when it's his turn to take the bump, he's fully healthy. So there's no excuses. And secondly, his velocity's off again. And he was missing kind of badly on Wednesday night. He was off by 2 miles as far as his fastball went. And I looked at the highlights. It was off. Like, typically you're looking at, you have a guy who can throw fastball typically 96 miles an hour, which is pretty good. Sometimes he can hit 97, which is around the area where you want Mitch's fastball to be. But when his fastball is averaging 94 miles an hour, and at one point he was even at 92 miles an hour, that's a cause for concern right there. And it's not like the Pirates had an insurmountable deficit because, you credit the bullpen once again. The bullpen has just been fantastic to start off the season for the Bucs. I mean, there's no question about that. The bullpen has just been lights out so far. The bullpen limited the damage. So Wednesday's loss, I'm sorry, I got to say, is on Mitch Keller. The lineup did what they could. Sometimes it's just not your day. I mean, again, more staring at very hittable pitches that are right down the middle of the plate, and I think the Bucs left more runs off the board again. But like I said, I mean, you're not going to score 7 runs every single game, which the Pirates now have 49 runs in 7 games. So they're averaging exactly 7 start off the season. But like I said, I mean, some days it's just not your day. You're not going to score 7 runs every single game. You're not going to, have all these opportunities every single game. And sometimes you may even get shut out. But the Pirates had an early 2-0 lead. And in my opinion, Wednesday's loss is on Mitch Keller. You can't blame Derek Shelton for putting together the best lineup when it comes to right-handed pitching, because that is the Pirates' best lineup. But enough of the negativity. Let's talk about Thursday's game. Thursday, you couldn't have asked for a better start. The bats were phenomenal. Jumped on the Nationals right away, getting on base, came out swinging, putting the ball in play. And the best thing that I like about this Pirates team so far is that they're getting productive at bats. They're hitting with runners on, especially with 2 outs. I mean, the 2-out magic that this team has is just unbelievably good. But they're putting the ball in play. They're not trying to do too much. They're not trying to hit 500-foot homers every single time they're at the plate. They're putting the ball in play. They're getting more patient at the plate. They're taking what the pitchers give them. I still think they need to cut down on the swings and misses, and I still think they need a better plate approach with Andy Haynes. But you can't complain with how this team is just putting the ball in play and with all the productive at-bats that they're having. As a matter of fact, the first 7 at-bats for the Bucs on Thursday were all productive at-bats. O'Neal Cruz got things started with a leadoff hit. Brian Reynolds came through, and he got on base with a base hit. You had Ke'Bryan Hayes drawing a walk to load up the bases. Then it was Jack Sawinski hitting a sacrifice fly. And the night before, Jack Sawinski crushed a solo homer to the Nationals bullpen in left field. So Jack Sawinski is starting to get his groove going. He gets a sac fly to make it 1-0. Connor Joe getting in on the act. Rowdy Tellez, 2-run single to make it 3-0. And then it was Henry Davis collecting his first RBI of the season with a sac fly. And there you go. The first 7 at-bats for the Pirates were all productive at-bats. They were all contributions to the offense. And that's what I like to see. When you look at this lineup and you see 1 through 9, and you think to yourself, this guy can get on base. This guy can pick up a run. This guy can send this guy home. This guy can even hit a sac fly. That's the sign of a good lineup. Like I said, they don't all have to be base hits. We had 2 sac flies in the first inning. Rowdy Tellez, like I said, the 2-run single. And then you see stuff like Brian Reynolds getting in an RBI. Going back to last year, Brian Reynolds has now gotten on base in 34 straight games. Well worth the extension. And he's supposed to be the guy for us. And he's gotten on base on 34 straight games. But Brian Reynolds, O'Neal Cruz, and like I mentioned before, Michael A. Taylor, they all had multi-hit games Thursday night. You just love to see it. Connor Joe crushing a 2-run homer to make it 7-1. The offense was just phenomenal. You jump on the Nationals right away. You put them in an early deficit. It takes a lot of pressure off of you, and it puts even more pressure on the Nationals. They did rally back a little bit, but overall, you look at the pitching Thursday night, nothing short of amazing. Martin Perez on his birthday, quality start for a quality birthday. He went 6 2/3, 85 pitches, 61 of them were strikes. You heard that right. 61 of his 85 pitches were strikes. Martin Perez has easily been our most effective starter so far, and I believe Jared Jones takes the mound on a Friday in the home opener. And we all know the start that Jared Jones had against the Miami Marlins in his debut. Now, not to say Jared Jones is going to strike out 10 Orioles, but hey, Jared Jones and Martin Perez are the 2 bright spots in this rotation so far. But man, Martin Perez has been such a great find for us. He went, like I said, 6 2/3, 61 of his 85 pitches were strikes, only allowed 2 runs, struck out 6. Great start, great quality game for Martin Perez, got the W for us. And like I said, I think this is a guy that a lot of Pirate fans have just been sleeping on for, since we got him. The guy is just pounding the zone. He's in command. And I think if you're looking forward down the line, where if he can keep this up and he goes at least like 200 innings this season and his ERA is 4 or less, I think you really do have a valuable starter, and you possibly have, your number 2 starter, at least until Paul Skeens gets called up. But Martin Perez, just a phenomenal start to the year. Kind of reminds me of what A.J. Burnett did when he came over to the Bucs back, I believe, in 2012. May have been 2013, but it was one of those 2 years. I think it was 2012, though. That's what Martin Perez reminds me of so far. He reminds me a lot of when A.J. Burnett came over here. Just a guy who can be looked up as a leader in this rotation, a guy who's going to give you a quality start, a guy who's a valuable asset to your team. Just a really good find that Martin Perez has been. Luis Ortiz, he kind of struggled a little bit against the Nationals. I mean, Nothing too concerning. I mean, I guess every day is just not going to be your day when you get up when you come from the bullpen. But I'm not too concerned about Luis Ortiz. But still, just what he did in Miami compared to what he did in Washington. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it's just a just a rough day for him. I guess I don't know, but I'm not thinking too much about it. But if there's one guy in this bullpen that has not missed a beat at all, Aroldis Chapman. My goodness, Aroldis Chapman. At the age of 36, this guy has found the fountain of youth. He's still hitting 100 on that fastball. He still looks so poised every single time he comes up. Every time he comes up, and you just know that he is definitely working that back end of the bullpen so well. Came in when Luis Ortiz was struggling, immediately gets the rest of the inning shut down. Just a sensational job by Aroldis Chapman so far. David Bednar picked up his first save on Thursday night. And that's now 5 different guys in this bullpen that have gotten saves for the Pirates now. That just shows you the depth that this bullpen has, the strength that the bullpen is. And even like with your lineup, like what I was talking about earlier, with a guy like Michael A. Taylor, who I don't think has been getting enough credit. He's putting the ball in play. He's looking like an all-star for us so far. I know it's only 7 games. There's still 155 to go, but Michael A. Taylor, you can't fault him or you can't like not love what the guy's been doing so far. I mean, he got us the 2 runs on Wednesday night with the 2-run single. He's fielding well. And when he's at the bottom of your order and you still think that this guy can get a rally started or he can he can drive in a run or he can score himself, that just shows that this lineup is looking better and better as the games go by, man. This offense, wow. This might be a top 10 offensive team if they keep this up. Obviously, it's not sustainable. I know that. Like I said before, you're not going to score 7 runs every single game. There are going to be games where you're off. But wow, this lineup has just been clicking on all cylinders so far. And it's exciting to see. So we got the home opener against the Baltimore Orioles coming up. That's a 3-game series. First pitch is at 4:12 this Friday afternoon. No coincidence that it's a 4:12 first pitch. So we got 3 with them. And then the Detroit Tigers come to town for a short 2-game series. So we got 5 straight home games coming up. The Tigers were undefeated going into Thursday night before they split a doubleheader with the New York Mets. So these next 5 games for the Buccos is going to kind of be like a litmus test for us right here. Because believe it or not, the Miami Marlins are still winless. They're 0-8 right now. And that was a team that was in the playoffs last year. They're off to an 0-8 start. And the Washington Nationals, I mean, I don't think the Nationals are going to be as bad as what people say they are, but still, this is a team that is in a rebuild phase. They're a team that is going to be set back for a couple years or so, and it's going to take a while for them to get back into contention form. But, teams like that, when they play like they got nothing to lose, they're the teams that can cause other teams that are trying to get in or teams that are looking to find an identity for themselves like us, they can give them problems. But that's what the Pirates are doing. They're beating teams that they should be able to beat. They're beating teams that on paper are better than that were better than. And now it's a litmus test. you face a really good Orioles team, and then you face an underrated Detroit team. So I have all the confidence right now that we can take at least 3 of these 5 games. Obviously, yes, I would love it if we ended up this homestand 11-1, but I'm not gonna, I don't think that's gonna happen. I think, you know, realistically speaking, I think 3-2 is reasonable for us. You take the series against Baltimore and then you split with Detroit. So you're looking at a record of 9-3 if you can at least take 3 out of 5 in these next 5 games, which I'd be very content with. You're 9-3 through 12 games. 2-3, it could have been better, but at least it's better than nothing. But yeah, man, like I said, we got a litmus test coming up. The Orioles are a really good team. They got some really good quality pitching. Offense is a little Jekyll and Hyde so far, but the Orioles, they can click when they have the time to do it. Detroit, they're a young and up and coming team, so we just got to go out there and play those teams like we played Miami and Washington, man. Be patient, hit with runners on, put the ball in play, strong bullpen again, and the rotation needs to step things up. So we'll see how it goes, but right now I'm loving this, man. We're 6-1. We started 5-0 Monday, our best start since 1983, and we're 6-1 through 7 games, man. It's just exciting to see. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. I am Mac, checking on out for the day. Let's go Bucs, baby.